Welcome into Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are breaking down how the Dallas Ragamuffins almost won a game, but it doesn't matter anymore. And you can't teach that. Bada boom, man of the people in the room. How you doing, G Money Grant Mitchell? Are you riding today?
Oh, I'm doing really good, Tanner. So of course I'm riding. You know, I'm in good spirits. I was out over the weekend. I was touching grass. We don't get to do that when it's the busy season for us. We're at the laptops all day. You know, then maybe we get to go to games, but for the most part, we're cooped up. So it was nice to be outside. I don't know how the weather is up there in New England, but it's about 80 or so over the weekend. The sun was out. It was really nice. Me and my girlfriend went to a park. We had a picnic. It was cute. I should have sent you a picture. You might have started blushing. But yeah, it was fun. How about you? How was your weekend?
It was fun. I watched sports like you should be doing right now.
I was tuned into the games. Don't get me wrong.
The games are okay. The NFL draft was okay. Kind of went exactly how we expected it to. The games, Grant, the Mavericks, we're going to talk about them. I'm not happy with the Mavericks. I'm not happy with Luka and Kyrie. They got to get on. They got to play a full game. They got to come out and play for 4 quarters. And
you got to be happy with Kyrie. It's Luka you're probably mad at.
I wasn't happy with Kyrie in the first quarter. He didn't do anything in the first quarter. I need it all. I need you to not go down by 31 points. It's not that hard. I'm not asking for a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the fact, you know what? I mean, we want to just jump into it?
Yeah, well, no, we got to tell the people to subscribe because our livelihood depends on you guys subscribing to this page. And if you don't want us to have a podcast, don't subscribe. But if you want us to have a podcast, you should subscribe, like, share, click the little bell so you get notified when we post a video, which is every Monday and Thursday. We also post clips. Those are taken off right now, guys. So make sure you check that out and hammer the subscribe button.
Good plug. But yeah, Tanner's absolutely right. If you guys don't hit that like button, you don't hit that subscribe button, there's no more podcasts. So if you guys are tuned in and we see the views, we see the comments, we know you guys are tuned in. So show us some support, make it a two-way street here. It can't always be one way.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to send a nasty comment, at least click the subscribe button.
Yeah, and then, if it's really nasty, we'll read it out on the next episode to make sure everybody sees it. But you got to subscribe.
We will. We'll do that. I have a few I'll read today from the shorts that we can talk about. But anyways, Grant, first thing on the docket, which is it's very surprising because when I remember, at least when the Suns got this super team together, they were shooting up the odds boards. They're going to win the NBA championship. And then we realized that these super teams don't necessarily always work. And that is the case here as the Suns go down to the Timberwolves.
I have so much to say about this series. There's so many directions I want to go with. I want to start with Frank Vogel. Now, Frank Vogel's not the best coach in the world, but I was reading a bunch of after the series ended, the Timberwolves sweep the Suns out of the playoffs. It was like all of the dirty laundry on Frank Vogel started to get aired out. And there were reports that there was a team meeting earlier in the year and Vogel was screaming at them and the players thought that it was feigned. And one player said they had to keep themselves from laughing. And then, Kevin Durant reportedly didn't like the way Frank Vogel structured the offense. And I'm listening to all this thinking what a bunch of losers. Durant is an all-time player. Booker's an all-time player. Beal, not going to make the Hall of Fame. Probably would have if he had a couple more postseason accolades. But just a bunch of dudes who have either never won anything, or if you're in Durant's case, you had to join the greatest team in the history of basketball to finally win something, ignoring a coach that just won a championship a few years ago. And this, I don't think Vogel's a great coach. And I certainly don't think he was the right coach for this team. I said that when he was hired. I said hiring Frank Vogel is a mistake. He'll probably be fired a year from now. He's a defensive-minded coach trying to coach 3 guys who only care about offense. So this was never going to work, but it's not just Vogel and it's not just the players. It goes to Matt Ishbia, the new owner too. When he took over within, I think 24 hours, he had made that huge trade for Kevin Durant. And then he's the one who goes out and says, we need to get Bradley Beal in the offseason. You do those, you give Bradley Beal a no trade clause. So now in the event where the roster doesn't work, which, hey, it just didn't, well, you can't trade Bradley Beal. And are you really going to trade one of Kevin Durant or Devin Booker? I don't think so. You gave Grayson Million 4 years, $70 million because you were probably going to lose him in the summer if you didn't. But all of that means you literally cannot change the roster. There's nothing you can do aside from get rid of your current vet minimum guys and bring in other vet minimum guys. But, you know, if you look back at like the Golden State Warriors when they were making their title push, or the Clippers when Kawhi and Paul George first came to town, or some of LeBron's teams, those are the guys that players are willing to take a vet minimum to go sign with that team to compete for a championship. Who is looking at the Suns? If you're 37 years old, you're on your last hurrah, who's looking at them saying, yeah, this is the team where I will win a ring that I don't have? They're looking at, you know, the Denver Nuggets. They're looking at the Milwaukee Bucks. They're looking at the Boston Celtics. Maybe they're looking at the Lakers, depending on if they can make this series interesting. They're probably looking at the Timberwolves. The Suns are not anywhere on the list. So I have no idea what the Suns do going forward, but this is just one of the biggest disasters in recent basketball history.
Well, you can either take it as you fire your head coach and say that he's not the right guy to lead this team, or you can just say that the Suns' big three is just not a concept that's going to work with any coach taking them. And I don't think that's the case, obviously, because you got three tremendous players there. But this game came down to effort. And it came down to knowing how to win and desire to win. The Minnesota Timberwolves had a desire to win in the fourth quarter last night because it was very close going there, and they just pulled away 32-24, outscoring them. And also effort, too, on the glass. I mean, both teams shot about the same from the field. The Suns actually shot 50%, 51% to be exact. The Timberwolves were 46%, but it came down to the rebounding battle. Minnesota had 17 offensive rebounds. The Suns had 10. And all that is just effort there. There's no excuse to get beat like that on the glass, and that's what ultimately separated this game. So effort, knowing how to win, and having a desire to win. The Timberwolves are on a mission right now.
Yeah, and we're going to give them their praise in a second, but again, we can go over these players. I don't know if this is possible, and correct me if I'm wrong. Devin Booker, it was like the quietest 50-point game I've ever seen. I think he had 49, but basically, I don't know how to describe it because 50 points is 50 points, especially in the playoffs. But it didn't feel impactful. Like I never felt they were on a surge where they were taking momentum. I never felt when they were ahead they were going to win the game. You know, when they were behind, I never thought they had a chance to come back. He wasn't necessarily making timely threes or big. A lot of it was at the free throw line, so I don't know if that's part of it, that like the rhythm was taken out of it, but it just didn't feel that big to me. Am I crazy for saying that?
No, it didn't feel super impactful too, but I also think like this game, it's not exactly the same. It's almost like Boston Celtics in game 2 against the Miami Heat. You had a couple players making plays, right? Kevin Durant had 33, Devin Booker had 49, and 20 of them came from the free throw line. So maybe that's the reason to feel like it. But you were getting nothing from anybody else. Like there was no contributions anywhere else. So while it was impactful, he had a lot of points. Nobody was chipping in and helping. So you really couldn't look at them down the stretches saying, hey, they're going to win this game.
Yeah, and speaking of guys you can't look at, Bradley Beal, who after game 3 said, I've never been swept in my life. I'll be damned if I get swept now. Well, we got to change Bradley Beal's name to Damned because apparently he is damned. He scored 4 baskets, 6 turnovers, 6 fouls. Again, after saying that, season on the line, at home, you just lay an egg. And going back to Matt Ishbia, how silly it was. He got the new owner syndrome. And we see this in all of sports. New owners take over. They want to make these crazy moves. They don't think rationally from a long-term perspective. You give Bradley Beal the no trade clause. Now he's due to make over $50 million each of the next 3 seasons. He did not look good at any point in the season. I genuinely think the Suns win at least 2 games if Bradley Beal is not on this team. Because when I saw what Kevin Durant and Devin Booker did last year in the playoffs. Now, granted, it was historic performances from Booker. He was averaging like 36 points on 70% or something stupid through the first 2 rounds. But still, they got out of the first round, and then they were able to take the Denver Nuggets to 6 games. The Denver Nuggets championship team is better than this Timberwolves team, at least in my opinion. So I think that without Bradley Beal there, if you have not a vet minimum guy, but someone like Grayson Allen who's making $15 to $20 million a year, if you've got another 2 or 3 of those guys, this team probably looks a lot different and a lot better.
I agree with that. And the new owner syndrome's really interesting because I think to like the Mets with Steve Cohen, when he first took over the Mets, like he signed everybody. It was like the Mets are going all in. They're trying to win. And I give them credit too, like new owner syndrome or not. I give these owners credit for putting money on the line and spending, even though it might not be the right thing, because they're putting a desire out there to win. They're getting people excited. Ultimately, it didn't work out here and it didn't work out for the Mets. But like you look at the Timberwolves, The stars aren't as high. Obviously, Anthony Edwards is an absolute dog. Rudy Gobert is fantastic on defense. Like, there's a lot to write home about this team. Jaden McDaniel is really good, but it's not a superstar loaded team. You have a couple big dogs and you have a really good supporting cast. And ultimately, like, the dynamic of that team works out a lot more than a team with, 3 really good players and a lot of struggle. And maybe in Bradley Beal, you can't even put him in the big 3 right now based on how he played.
We talked about it before the series started. We talked about it throughout the series. The fact the Suns were favored before the series started, one of the silliest things in recent basketball memory. Timberwolves obviously win this one in a sweep. I don't know what your biggest takeaway from the Timberwolves was, because, I thought they were a very good team. Maybe they played a little bit better than I expected them to. Probably thought this one was going to go 5 or 6 games. But I did expect them to win. I did not expect to see Anthony Edwards leap past Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And I think that's what he did in this series. Throughout the regular season, I was not down on Anthony Edwards, but people were saying, oh, this is the face of basketball and this is the best shooting guard in the league. And I was saying, hold on, because he's still going to give you those nights where he scores 9 points on 1 of 12 from 3. We see it happen to him. In this series, even though he did have a game where his stats weren't amazing, just his leadership, that's what I noticed above all else. But then his statistical output, his playmaking ability, timely shots, and then highlight plays. Like, I tweeted about halfway through the fourth quarter, I tweeted something that the moral of it basically was, the future is now the present. Anthony Edwards, this has been a generation shifting series. This is where you say the torch was passed in this moment. And then right after I said that, Anthony Edwards hits that little step back 3 on the left side. And then a minute later, he has that poster dunk over, I don't know if it was Durant, I forget who it was, but whoever it was, like 2 minutes left, he has that poster dunk. And my biggest takeaway from this series, Anthony Edwards is now undeniable, in my opinion. I think you got to look at him as probably a top 7 NBA player, if not above that. And the most interesting part about this too, he might have just taken Devin Booker's starting spot on Team USA in the summer. You know what I mean? Because he outplayed him thoroughly in this series. He's younger, so you think you would want to give him more opportunities if you can. And Steve Kerr, I'm pretty sure Steve Kerr loved working with him at FIBA. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Ant's now the 2 guard for Team USA.
He's a dog. Like, that's my takeaway. He can make shots. We know that. He's a very good player. He's probably going to be one of the best players in the NBA. Like you say, top 7 right now. He's probably going to be a top 3 guy. But when you look at him, it's the killer instinct. It's the desire. Like, I think, and I love Jason Tatum, but if you put Anthony Edwards' mindset into Jason Tatum, it would be a superstar.
That's the best basketball player in the world.
Yeah, that's the best. Because Anthony Edwards, while he is not as skilled as Jason Tatum, he is an absolute killer. And he wants to go out there and make plays. He doesn't complain. Like, he's just a competitor. He wants to go compete. He's not complaining. He wants to go out and win games. And that's something I saw from him in this series. It was really fun to watch.
He sprained both of his ankles in the fourth quarter, and he still gave you that performance down the stretch.
Yeah. All right, Grant, let's talk about the Dallas Ragamuffins right now. If you don't know the story behind the Dallas Ragamuffins, I gave them that name in the last show. It's the Dallas Ragamuffins plus Luka and Kyrie. Now, even Luka and Kyrie, they have their problems. Luka and Kyrie have their problems. Sometimes I feel like Luka doesn't want to play basketball. Sometimes I feel like Kyrie's forgotten how to play basketball. Overall, they are the best 2 players on the floor, and they do go up and down a little bit. I'll give them that, but I'll let them get away with it. However, the Mavericks are still making stupid mistakes throughout games, Grant. You can't go down 31. I don't care if you come back. It's meaningless to me now. It probably did scare the Clippers a little bit, the fact that they could come back 31 and make it a game moving forward. However, I'm not as confident in this Dallas team as you are. You think they're going to come in and just win the next 2 games and be fine. Why?
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly better than the Clippers, and I do feel like you've seen that so far in this series. In game 1, historically bad shooting performance for them. Game 4, like they don't show up, and that's their fault. Obviously, that is their fault. The blame is on them, but if they come out with more intensity, and when you've got guys like Luka and Kyrie, we know how intense they can be. I do think you're going to see the changes from them. The Dallas defense has still been playing well. Now, I think they had some huge schematical errors down the stretch. I fault Jason Kidd for not changing his style. A lot of people were cooking Luka for allowing James Harden just blow by him whenever he wanted to. I don't think a lot of people realized that was the game plan, but the game plan was Luka. down the stretch when Harden had the ball and he was calling for isolation, the Clippers are the most isolation-heavy team in the league. And I think the Mavericks are number 2. It's either them or the Celtics. But anyway, when Harden was looking to get downhill, Luka's job is basically try to stay in front of him. If you can't stay in front of him, get a body on him, kind of let him slide past. You get what's called a rear view contest where you're trying to get the block from behind, essentially, and you funnel him into your bigs in the painted area. They're able to get a contest. They make the shot difficult. Well, Harden made I don't know, 5, 6, 7 little runner floaters in the fourth quarter. And late in that game, Jason Kidd had both Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford on the bench. So if your goal is to funnel Harden into the center of the lane, then you want to have a big there who's going to be able to step up. Just smacked my mic. You want a big who's going to step up, get an arm up, contest or block the shot. But instead, they were having PJ Washington, whoever was the low man, and they weren't stepping up. They were just staying tight on the guy that was next to them. So they were basically giving Harden the free floater. And again, he made 5, 6, 7 of these in the fourth quarter. So I don't understand why you didn't pivot style there, especially like you were saying, you came back from 31 points down. That would have tied an all-time NBA playoff record. So you've expended all of that physical and mental energy. You've got the crowd behind you, and then you just let it slip away. It's certainly not a great win for the Clippers, but it was a huge missed opportunity for Dallas.
It was a missed opportunity for Dallas, and I want to support them here when I look back at the stats too. It scared the Clippers. What the Dallas Mavericks did, whether they won the game or not, if you're the Clippers, you feel like, wow, we escaped that. Now, the Mavericks have to come out on fire in the first half of game 5, because if they don't, Clippers crowd's going to get into it. It's going to be a lot tougher. But if they come out and they set the tone early, I do think the Clippers have a chance of folding, just because I think the Dallas is in their head a little bit. Now, however, the Mavericks make a lot of mistakes, so they definitely could lose this series in my mind. I don't know about you. I know you disagree with that. But the Clippers shot 62% from the three-point line. They're not going to do that again, most likely. Paul George is not going to make the fadeaway 3 at the end of the game to take the lead when the Mavericks are up 1 again. He was just fantastic. He was killer. And they were making everything. So the fact that the Clippers made everything, played one really bad quarter, and the Mavericks were able to climb their way back from 31. That's probably a positive for Dallas. And Luka's a gamer. Kyrie's a gamer. They're competitors. They're going to come out. I think they're going to do their thing. I think it goes 7, but I don't know.
I mean, I said 5, realistically 6 is my prediction. Obviously 5's out of the question. I would still be sticking with 6. Now I guess I could see it go 7. I don't see a way in which the Clippers do win this series. I've seen people saying that just imagine what the Clippers are going to look like when Kawhi gets back. Here's the thing. The Clippers don't play better with Kawhi than they did in this game. You can't play better than that. To what you were saying, I mean, James Harden, again, we talk about his history of choking in the playoffs. Gave you 33 points. He was tremendous. Paul George scored a playoff career high for 1.5 points to open the game. He had 26 in the first half. That's part of why they were up 31 points. He goes 7 of 10 from 3. Like you said, the Clippers go 62% from 3, while Luka was 1 of 9 from 3. He scored 29 points, which sounds like a lot, but it's 5 points below his average, and it's 7 points below what he averages against the Clippers. So it wasn't a great game by Dallas. It was a historic, unprecedented game by the Clippers, and they almost blew a 31-point lead. They won by 5 points. So, again, I don't like that Dallas is losing. I don't like that the series is tied 2-2, but I still have faith in them.
Yeah, I have faith in them too, because they're playing really, when they lose games, they're playing bad. They're trying to lose games. And Luka is definitely going to be better than 1 for 9 from the 3-point line moving forward. So what is your biggest key to the game moving into game 5 in LA for the Dallas Mavericks?
I think it's just Luka, honestly. And I love talking about X factors. I love shining lights on guys that don't get a lot of love, like Derrick Jones Jr. I thought was outstanding for the Mavericks in that game, even though they lost. But Luka's got to be better. 10 of 24, 1 of 9 from the 3. Again, 29 points sounds good, but it's below his average. He's just got to be better. And he said after the game, I need to do a better job. I don't feel like I've been supporting Kyrie enough. That's funny because Luka's clearly the best player on this team. But if you look at the last 2 or 3 months, Kyrie has been balling out of his mind. And we heard We heard Giannis say something similar earlier this year. He said Damian Lillard is the best player on our team. Everyone knows that isn't true, but at a certain point, if you're the superstar, if you're a guy who could win MVP of the league, then you got to step up and you got to take responsibility and play better. And I do like that Luka's taking responsibility. We've seen throughout his playoff career and in this series already that he can have big playoff moments. So, I think he comes out. I think he responds. I think the Mavericks win the next game and win the series.
All right. Hey, I'm hoping. You know who's not going to win the series, though? The Milwaukee Bucks to the Indiana Pacers. They're down 3-1 right now. It's not looking good, Grant. I mean, I don't think there's much to talk about here. The Bucks just dynamics not working out right now. Do you think they need to trade Dame?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to talk about here. Milwaukee maybe wins next game. Heck, maybe they make it interesting and push it to 7, but I had the Pacers winning this series before Giannis was injured. I had them winning after Giannis was injured and when it was 0-0. And of course, I like the Pacers at 3-1. I don't know if they need to trade Dame. I remember Stephen A. Smith said that he thinks Damian Lillard is miserable. And we know Dame wanted to go to Miami, and Milwaukee is not Miami as far as lifestyle and location and, just marketability and all of that. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Not to get messy here. Dame also going through a divorce. So again, maybe that's weighing on him. Life happens. Athletes are still humans, but at the end of the day, Dame just has not had the season that Milwaukee thought they were going to get from him when they traded from him. The honest partnership never really coalesced. And so I don't know if a trade is necessarily needed, but I could definitely see one happening this summer because I don't think anybody's happy right now.
No, nobody seems happy. And honestly, when the Bucks fired their head coach and brought in Doc Rivers, it didn't seem like it was the right time. Obviously, we don't know what's going on internally in the building, but the season kind of already seemed cursed. And then you're having injuries stack up, and it's just not a good time for the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Indiana Pacers, they're a hungry basketball team. We've seen that since the play-in tournament. They want to go out and win. They're young. They got nothing to lose. And they're probably going to win this series. I don't think it becomes close. I think they win game 5 and close it out.
Tanner, my parlay. That was a big leg on my parlay of every winner. The ones that are sketchy right now are the Mavs, who are 2-2, but again, I trust them. The Cavs were winning like most of their game against the Magic. They ended up losing by 25 or something in game 4. So that one stunk. I thought I was going to go up 3-1 there, but my parlay is looking all right.
That the Cavs Magic series is like the series nobody cares about, but it's like going to be really entertaining.
Oh, I mean, I've it's definitely more for the you got to really love basketball to watch that series because they're shooting 30% from the field. They're just playing. They're boxing. They're playing boxing basketball essentially. So it's a tough watch in some aspects, but if you can get into physicality and intensity, then it's been pretty fun.
Well, Grant, you should already be checking off the Mavericks because you're super confident in these Mavericks.
I am. I think I'm most worried about the Cavs if I have to pick a team.
Yeah, I trust the Mavericks more, and I really want Kawhi to be on the floor because he takes up a body and he can't move right now. So that's why I want Kawhi on the floor. All right, so the Lakers, Grant, this is your show. Will the Lakers do the unthinkable if Jamal Murray doesn't play tonight? No team has ever come back 3-0. Ooh, Lakers talk. Grant loves the Lakers. They got no chance. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, Tanner, if Tanner's going to point the finger at me, then Tanner's the one who said we need to get the Lakers in the title of the video. So how
we do, because it works. It gets clicks. But I mean, I don't know. I would love to see the Lakers come back, Grant. I like Austin Reeves. I think you forget that I'm a big Austin Reeves supporter.
You are an Austin Reeves fan, which is why I hope you'll call him out with me. He's not been performing at the level he needs to be. I think he averaged 16 points in the regular season, and he was really good during the Lakers playoff runs last year. I was betting his points plus assists in the early games of this series. I think the line was like 18.5, 19.5, and looked back at his previous playoff runs, and I expected him to step his game up the way he did last year, the way that earned him a spot on Team USA. He hasn't done that, so they need him to play better. Will the Lakers do the unthinkable, come back from 3-0? I give them about a 0.85% chance to do it. At 0.85, because I don't think they have a percent chance, but it's a non-zero chance that it does happen. Look, I mean, obviously to come back from 3-0, you got to win 4 straight games. And for a team that had lost 11 straight to Denver, it's a tall ask. Nikola Jokic is doing this. The Nuggets got to be careful, man, because even if they win this series, this lackadaisical approach that they're taking, they are going to get the Timberwolves in the next round if they do win. And with the way that those guys are playing, with how the Minnesota just looks pissed off at the world. If Denver is going to come in and be lackadaisical and laissez-faire against the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns, Naz Reid, and those boys, they're going to snatch their heart out and they're going to win that series. Now, I say that because one of the big reasons the Nuggets, even though they are up 3-1, have not been dominant to me, Nikola Jokic has not been aggressively hunting his shot. Now, he's averaging a 29-point triple-double. He's the best player in the world. He's always going to put up numbers. But when I look at the small stretches in games where it's a 3-4 minute stretch and he'll take like 6 or 7 shots, every time that happens, he's unguardable. The Lakers, they can't stop him. Now, they've pivoted their approach. They're starting to double him in the post, try to get the ball out of his hands. He's, again, the best player in the world. And beyond that, he's probably the smartest player in the world. So he can find a way around that. But if Jamal Murray does not play in this game especially, Jokic needs to be aggressive. He can easily, maybe not easily, but he can definitively score 40 points in this game. And if he does that, I don't see how the Lakers win. With all that being said, the Lakers, they've looked good in this series. They've spent more time. They've spent like twice as much time leading as the Nuggets have. So they can absolutely play with these guys. It's about, do they close it out in the crucial moments? Denver was 33-8 at home. The Lakers were a losing team on the road. It's going to be tough for them. If they win this game, it's 3-2. Going back to LA, maybe you start to think it can happen, but I think you still have to give Denver the benefit of the doubt, what they've done the last 2 years and what they've done against the Lakers especially.
It's comes down to everyone making plays. Like we talked about, when the games the Lakers have not been able to close it out, it's AD and LeBron doing the majority of the work. Last game, and I know you're just slandering Austin Reeves, which is very disrespectful. He was 7 of 15 from the field for 21 points, actually. So don't be slandering.
That was his first good game of the series.
Yeah, no, and that's why they won it. I mean, Austin Reeves had 21. D'Angelo Russell had 21. He was 8 of 15 from the field. LeBron had 30, which we know is going to happen, 14 to 23. Roy Hachimura was 4 for 8, only had 9 points. He was still plus 13, the plus minus.
He stopped pulling a Jonte Porter. He stopped betting on his own unders.
Yeah, I know. So he still did something there. And then Anthony Davis had 25. It was a team effort. And you got 13 points off the bench. That's what they need to do. It can't just be the LeBron AD show. It needs to be a team effort. I think we're going to see the Lakers show up. I'm not saying it results in a win, but if you have Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, and Anthony Davis and LeBron James all in double figures and all shooting well from the field, you're going to be in good shape.
So let's go both the realities. Let's start. Jamal Murray does not play. You think the Lakers win or not?
I think whether Jamal Murray plays or not, I think the Lakers have you can't say an equal chance of winning, but the Lakers, even with Jamal Murray on the floor, have been competitive. They've been in games. It comes down to, are their role players going to make shots?
I'm asking you, are they going to make the shots or not? Who wins?
I think the Nuggets win this game tonight. I'm going to be honest. I think the Nuggets close it out. It's hard to say when a team, what was 10 straight wins?
11.
Yeah, it's hard to say that they're not going to find a way to win, but maybe the Lakers are starting their winning streak over the Nuggets. You never know. I still think the Nuggets win the game tonight.
I mean, the only thing I can think of that you go with the Lakers is Jamal Murray doesn't play, and then LeBron gets in his mind. Like, LeBron's done pretty much everything there is to do, but if he's the only guy to come back from 3-1 in the finals, and then the only player in NBA history to come back from 3-0, that's something you can add to your GOAT case. So I do think, if you want to be if you're a prop bettor, I would probably bet LeBron's overs tonight, because I think he's going all out, everything he has, because you don't get many opportunities like this to rewrite history, especially in your 21st season with how much he's done. So I think he has a good game. That's really like the only way I see the Lakers winning this one. And again, like we've all said, the Lakers have absolutely been competitive, and it's not necessarily me even knocking the players. It's me knocking their bench, and it's me knocking their coach. In those fine margins, those two have got to be there, and it hasn't been. So I take the Nuggets unless Jamal Murray doesn't play and LeBron gives you a masterclass. And even then, I think the Nuggets can win in LA in Game 6.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill climb. But again, if we want to look into like the sports narrative, like LeBron coming back from a 3-0 deficit would be a huge. We'd make a 30 for 30 on that in the next decade, right? So that's a big thing to talk about. And I think they're obviously going to be excited to play because of that fact. I don't think it makes a difference. I think the Nuggets still find a way to win this game, Game 6. Or if we get to a Game 7, I still think the Nuggets are better in a Game 7.
Yeah, I agree with that. Good NBA talk, Tanner. You want to move it on over to the gridiron?
Yeah, we'll talk a little NFL drafts. We got some NFL Rookie of the Year odds. Grant, do you have them up?
Yes, I do. So we can to FanDuel or DraftKings, Tanner. You're wearing the DraftKings hat. Let's go DraftKings.
Okay.
So according to DraftKings Sportsbook, we're going to talk offensive and defensive rookie of the year real quick for the NFL. No surprise, Caleb Williams, the favorite to win offensive rookie of the year, plus 200, followed by Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jaden Daniels at plus 600 and plus 650. You got JJ McCarthy at plus 800, Malik Neighbors at plus 1200. After that, you got Drake May, Xavier Worthy, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas Jr., Bo Nix, Keon Coleman, Brock Bowers, so on, so on. JJ McCarthy was a riser in odds. Before the draft, it was Caleb Williams, then Marvin Harrison Jr., then Malik Neighbors, and then I believe it was Jaden Daniels. So you've seen JJ McCarthy come up. I think a large part of that is because he is in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson. You know, he's in a good system to put up numbers if it turns out he is an NFL level quarterback and if he beats out Sam Darnold for the starting job. I think Caleb is going to win the award for plus 200. There's no way in hell I'm betting that. If I'm looking for a value pick, I think Rome Odunze is a trap there because I know some people are going to look at the plus 2,200, think this could be Caleb Williams' top target. Here's the thing. If Rome Odunze has a great year and, you know, he is Caleb Williams' top target, well, then Caleb Williams is probably just going to win the award. You know what I mean? So I think that's a trap there. If there is a value pick that I am going to be looking at, it's probably Xavier Worthy. Now, I know some people are going to get worried. He's 160 pounds or whatever it is, but super fast guy, 4.2 speed in that Kansas City Chiefs offense with Patrick Mahomes. You got to think there's certainly an opportunity for him to put up numbers there. So that's probably the guy I would look at if I'm looking lower down the board.
I think the best bet on the board right now for me is Marvin Harrison Jr. I can find trouble with pretty much every player except Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams. We just don't know what the cocky personality is going to do. If he doesn't perform, how's he going to handle that? Jaden Daniels, I do have my fear about his size. I went back to the drawing board and I thought about drafting Drake May versus Jaden Daniels. And I looked at like guys like Anthony Richardson, who's an absolute stud, but didn't take care of his body in the game and he got beat up, right? So if Jaden Daniels takes off the run like he did a lot in the SEC and he gets hit, like he got rattled in college. So I'm a little worried about his size there. JJ McCarthy, his suit that he wore to the Vikings.
Was that a pleather suit?
I don't know, but there was a tweet that said this looks like a 9-year-old at a wedding. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, he looked so out of place. To your Jaden Daniels point, if you'll remember, I wanted the Commanders to trade the pick, and that was my reasoning why. I thought Jaden Daniels was one big hit away from being out for the year, and he's a similar sort of player to Robert Griffin III, and we saw what happened to him when Washington didn't have a line and when we asked him to run around a lot. He got absolutely smoked. His career was over in a couple of years. I like the Marvin Harrison Jr. pick. My pushback on that would be, Harbaugh. How much are they actually going to throw the ball? There was something crazy. I think JJ I don't know if it was JJ McCarthy's odds or if it was Justin Herbert's odds to be traded, something like that. One of those markets, either the Chargers to draft McCarthy or Herbert to be traded, went from 100-1 to 6-1. So maybe Harbaugh doesn't trust Herbert. And again, we know he's a run heavy guy. So maybe Harrison isn't going to put up the biggest numbers there. But yeah, that would just be my concern there.
So looking at Malik Neighbors, he's 14-1 right now. He already hates the Giants.
He has no hope. I mean, Daniel Jones cannot give him the ball enough for him to win.
He hates New York already. He's like, I got to come up here, get the ball thrown to me from Daniel Jones, and I got to play in the cold, and I got to play for Brian Dable, who apparently not a lot of people like Brian Dable. So I don't know what the deal is there, but he looked miserable at his whole Giants interview, draft announcement. First round. So I think Drake May is not going to be starting quarterback at the beginning of the season. I think that's going to hurt him a little bit. It's got to be Caleb or Marvin Harrison Jr. in my mind. I don't think anyone else really stands a chance.
I'm just looking through the list right now. Brian Thomas. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had a problem with throwing touchdowns, but he was putting up numbers and stuff before he got injured. Maybe Brian Thomas Jr. is an outside chance. Keon Coleman has Josh Allen, so maybe those are other guys, but it's not going to be Brock Bowers, it's not going to be Adonai Mitchell or Ladd McConkey, Jalen Wright, any of these guys. So I think you're right with that list up at the top. For defensive rookie of the year, why don't I have you know what, Tanner? This page does not have defensive rookie of the year odds. Give me just 1 second here.
Does anyone care about defensive rookie of the year? Give it to Chop.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a much more competitive race. I mean, Caleb Williams is plus 200 to win offensive rookie of the year. Your favorite for defensive rookie of the year is Dallas Turner plus 400. Then you've got Latu after that plus 700. Jared Verse, so the three edge rushers. Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, Byron Murphy, Chop Robinson, Cooper G, Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Darius Robinson, and then the list keeps going from there. I don't necessarily have a huge lean at the top of the board there. Dallas Turner, Latu, Jared Verse. I view them all as relatively equal. I think that, it's just going to come down to us the better season. Like, I think Caleb Williams is clearly a better player than Drake May. I don't think Dallas Turner is necessarily a clearly better player than Jared Verse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would go with Latu just because they asked him, like, what are your hobbies outside of football? He said, I have no hobbies. So he's going to take advantage of the moment. But defensive rookie of the year is more of a crapshoot. Like offensive rookie of the year, we know Caleb Williams is in a good system. We know he's a quarterback, so he's touching the ball on every play, and we know he's going to have to throw the ball. It's a lot easier to predict than, okay, how's this edge rusher going to stack up? How's this cornerback going to stack up? And it's also with defense, it's about being in the right place at the right time. A lot of the cases, where on offense, it's like they're openly going out to make their own plays. We know they're going to be schematically, their schemes are for them to go out and make plays. Defense, it's a lot of gap assignment. You might be in a gap and they're running away from you. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll probably go with Latu as well. Honestly, I probably had Dallas Turner as my top guy in the draft. Latu was right there, and you can get 2-to-1 value comparatively. Plus 400 versus plus 700. So go Latu.
Definitely. All right, Grant. Well, that was another big show of Ride the Line.
Yes, it was, Tanner. Should we, before the season starts, should we set a bet on who finishes higher rookie of the year race between Drake May and Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, we could. I mean, but it gets a little cloudy there if Drake May is not the week one starter.
That's true. I think you're right too. I could see Jacoby Brissett starting, and it's probably the best for Drake May. I mean, he's 21 years old.
Yeah, don't rush him. There's no point in rushing him. It's just play. You're not winning no matter who plays quarterback this year. So just go out and like have fun. Have some fun, boys. Yeah, that's what they teach you when you're a kid. It's not about winning. It's about having fun. Yeah, just go have fun. I mean, it's a new coach. It's a new offense. There's so much.
New everything.
New everything. It's a new era of Patriots football. Like, we're not winning anything this year, and it can't be worse than the past two seasons. So it's like just go have some fun, boys.
Yeah, I agree with that. But guys, if you want to have some more fun with us, hit that subscribe button, like the video, like Tanner was telling you earlier. Drop some comments. Let us know who you're going to be betting on in the NBA or the MLB, whichever you prefer tonight. And Tanner, take us on out of here.
That was Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We'll see you next time.